Good evening, everybody. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Marquette Township Board. Today is Tuesday, May 17th, 2022. It's 6:30 p.m. and we're going to stand for the pledge if you'll join us.
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, roll call, Randy, please.
Okay, Trustee Winslow is excused and absent tonight. She might be here a little later, but she's got commitments right now. Trustee LaRue.
Here.
Trustee Everson.
Here.
Trustee Marks.
Present.
Treasurer Johnson.
Here.
Clerk Rattari is here, and Supervisor Durant.
Here.
Staff present is Manager Kangas, our attorney Roger Zappa, and on Zoom, our Superintendent of Public Works, Lenny Bodinas, is with us.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any emails for public comment?
We do not.
Okay. Anything you want to say? You want to? Okay. All right. Tonight's consent agenda consists of approval of regular meeting minutes of May 4th, 2022, and the special meeting minutes of May 11th. We have bills payable in the amount of $260,908.34. No committee or other reports. We have some correspondence. UPCO case U-21209 to reconcile its 2021 energy waste reduction costs and revenues and to revise surcharges. They're as bad as charter. We've got something in here every other meeting. And Marquette County Solid Waste Management Authority draft stockholders meeting minutes 4/20 of 22, recycling financials and recommended purchase. We also have April's financial statements, and we have two budget amendments, 2022-04 and 05. So we'll need approval of that unless there are any items needed to be pulled out. And we'll do a roll call. We need to do them separately.
Nope. For tonight, the budget amendment 2204 is authorization is requested for the adjustment for state revenue sharing due to the adjustments made from the 2020 census increase of 6% and update state of Michigan projections. Also requested are expenditure increases for the election department for the voter ID preparation and mailing and the August primary election applications. The boardroom camera and associated equipment is also included in the upgrade. That's budget amendment 2204, and then 2205 is authorization is requested in the water department to reclassify expenditures. The increase will be used to perform a water demand analysis provided by OHM and a water supply study performed by Ref Telus.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented. Second.
Roll call.
Okay, so Trustee Marks.
Yes.
Trustee LaRue.
Yes.
Trustee Everson.
Yes.
Treasurer Johnson.
Yes.
Clerk Rattari is yes. And Supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent.
Excellent. Yes, Ernie.
I just have one comment going through the budget, number 2204. I looked at the state revenue sharing of 57, and you look at the expenditures, they come up to exactly 57,000. So, is there any rationale between that, the two?
They have to balance.
Yes,
That's
because what's not included as a new expenditure shows up in the fund balance. That last 39,000 goes to fund balance.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I understood that.
Yep. It's just a complete balancing, showing where the rest of it goes.
Just that when I went through all this, and wait a minute, the figures come out the same, real quick in that too, so.
They always should.
They should, but, okay.
Yep.
No further questions.
Okay. All right, then we need for approval of the remainder of the agenda, unless anybody has anything to pull out.
I'll move to accept the regular agenda as presented.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I'm not aware of any conflicts of interest with this packet. So we have staff reports. Fire chief will not be here tonight. He was gonna attend, but
His written report is in the packet, though.
yeah. Does anybody have any questions maybe that the manager could answer, or are we good with fire? Okay. Public Works. Mr. B, that falls to you.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Just really quickly, with our solid waste, our first Wednesday drop-off has been going well here for the last 2 months. It seems like it's going pretty orderly, and our usage has actually been significantly down, which is good. So some of our planning that trying to get that usage down has been working. I think the first month we went through just a couple roll-offs. This last month we went through 5, so that is way down from what it was last year. On wastewater, we've had routine grinder pumps failures and replacements. We have those all the time. Probably averaging like 1 a week here now, maybe 2 a week. Kind of depends, but it's kind of to be expected. I mean, they're consumable and they do break. So we've also been doing a lot of increasing in our mistakes. So you're going to see a lot more blue and green flags out there on the sides of the roads, and that's from our guys out there doing the mistakes. So as the construction season starts heating up, you're going to start seeing them out there doing a lot more of those. We've also been doing some grease trap inspections in some of the local establishments here. Basically, they go in and they just make sure that they're properly disposing and cleaning their grease so it doesn't go down into the drain. Once it gets into the drains, it can kind of end up kind of coagulating and making some problems for us. So we're kind of trying to stay on top of that, trying to keep everything clean if we can, because we do not need any sewer overflows if we can help it. Onto water. Now this one I kind of jinxed myself by putting this in there, but we've been doing our mandated water line verification inspection, so we've been using that new hydro excavator. The part where I jinxed myself was I said it was working well. Actually, the day before yesterday, we had something go wrong with it. Electrical, I don't know if a circuit board or whatever went, and we do have a mechanic under warranty, so they're coming up to look at it just because it's something weird or just happened to it. So we're thinking that it's like a little circuit board maybe fried in there, but they're going to come up and look at it and hopefully get it fixed for us as soon as possible. Up until that point, we've been kind of making some really good progress. We were up to about 4 to 5 inspections a day, so we were kind of maybe anticipating 3. We're getting a couple more per day, but then again, we could start getting into some harder ones where we only get 1 a day. But we still got a few years to get this done, but once this machine gets up back running, you're going to see us up there every other day doing this, and we would do it every day, but it gets kind of monotonous, so we're trying to break it up with sewer cleaning and other projects that we have going on too. Also, in conjunction with the fire department, there was an ISO review. So we worked with conjunction with the fire department. We provided the reviewer with all of our water stats and all our statistics of what we have for the water system. And we actually went out there and we performed, I think it was 16 hydrant flow tests. So you might have seen us out there doing that. Our guys love those because they end up getting wet quite often when they're trying to stick that little meter in the flow. It was kind of cold when they were doing it, so they weren't too happy, but we got it done. We recently also had a kickoff meeting with OHM and Raptels about the 2 studies that we are getting done. Basically, we met with them. We had some of our staff meet with them and figured out what kind of information that we need to provide them, and that is ongoing. So we're getting the information that they need, and we're passing it to them as we get it. Building and grounds, they've been really busy with upkeep of Lions Field. Baseball practices and games have now begun, and they've been just doing general maintenance on the buildings, the grass. You might have seen them out there trying to patch up the grass, and we're going to try to get some of the old vegetation out from some of the buildings here and try to get some new stuff in there so it looks pretty when it finally warms up. So that's all I have.
Sounds great. Any questions, Ernie?
I have one question on the repair of the grinder pumps. Have you been getting has there been any problems getting the parts for the grinder pumps?
Yes, so what we do is we kind of try to anticipate what we're going to need far out in advance. So some of the stuff that we're actually getting in now was ordered, 3-4 months ago. So we kind of anticipated a real supply crunch, and we've been kind of trying to look out into the future and trying to keep things coming in. And even like we've had some newer model pumps coming in that when an old pump gets beyond repair, we're putting a new pump in. So we kind of gauge that, figure that out, or we're ordering it. I think it's about 4 months now it's taking to get some of this stuff in.
Thank you.
Anything else for Lenny? Okay, thanks, appreciate it.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Zappa?
Well, with the season change, the things on my desk change also. We've got a lot of zoning issues that are coming up just for developments that are going to be happening this summer, this season. We've currently got an interesting sign issue from the zoning department and a development question on setbacks with private versus public roads. I reviewed the procurement policies and procedures that you took a look at last meeting and that we'll have a resolution on later tonight. We just settled the Cayman Marquette LLC versus Marquette Township Tax Tribunal case. That's Coles. And we were able to wrap in at a fairly decent figure, 2022, so we can avoid just having it refiled here within 2 months or less. And I don't even have the order. That just happened less than a week ago, just a couple days ago. I think that pretty well covers it. Again, there are a couple of other zoning issues that are of an ongoing nature that I've been working hand in hand with the zoning administrator, and that's been the bulk of our time the last couple of weeks.
Thanks. Any questions for Roger?
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, community linkage. Anybody hearing anything from the public or phone calls, emails, stopping you in the store? Nothing? Okay, I've got a couple things to share. I did attend the last week's planning meeting because there's another office development coming on up in the township by the theater. So I wanted to kind of hear about that, and I knew the parks owners would be there. I wanted to kind of touch base with them again. I also kind of got up during public comment and thanked the commission for all of their hard work. You know, we don't connect too much, but they got the marijuana ordinance done. That's a long time ago, but it took a year. And they've been working on lots of short-term rentals. What else did they do? I had a whole list. And I did ask them what they thought about the cleanup for the Iron Church too, the North Iron Church that's coming next month. So they gave me a few suggestions. The roundabouts, and I don't know if that's even possible because of, you know, what we have to do with MDOT to get in the corridor. But the other thing was to maybe paint the entrance boxes or plant flowers in them. I know Linda and her mom take care of at least one over by the Gilbert Center, this way, right by the, across from Pizza Hut, kitty corner in there. They do that one, but we have 6 in the township, so that's a lot of, you know, painting or upkeep on them if they are kept up. So they suggested those, just the trash in the roadways and the ditches, and then Lions Field, of course, and Schwimwood if they want to go over there. So she was excited about hearing some options, so I did pass that on. Planning. I was planning. I did remind them that there's classes available for them if they want to become a master planner or something like that. MSU has continuing classes. MTA has continuing classes, just so that they're not kind of left out and think that, you know, they can't attend. The whole township benefits by the MTA classes that we pay that $2,000 a year or whatever it is. We can all get on all the webinars and access their website, so I wanted to make sure they knew about that. I told them we knew that the CIP was coming out shortly. I asked them if they ever watched our board meetings, but I didn't expect an answer. It was just more rhetorical. And we have 2 of the commissioners that'll be, their terms will be expiring this December. So I said, please let me know soon enough in advance if you're going to continue. And if you're not, let me know that too, so I can start hunting or if there's someone that they would recommend for their spots. Let's see. I think that's all I told them. Linda and Ernie and I did go to the UP Labor Hall of Fame presentation or ceremony this past week. The board was invited, so I'm glad that a few of us got a chance to go. It was kind of a long night. Dinner was great, but lots of speaking and lots of clapping. But they thoroughly enjoyed themselves. I mean, the crowd that was there, lots of solidarity and brother and sister, and they clearly were having a great night. So that was nice. I'm glad that some of us got a chance to be there. If you noticed in the city, e-bikes are not going to be allowed in their non-motorized pathways. Anything quote unquote powered by other than muscular power is not going to be allowed. So I thought that was kind of interesting to hear. Solid waste, I have a little notice on that. Sir?
I guess they're supposed to just ride them on the streets then?
Probably. Skinny streets that they have too, with rough parking on both sides, some ways.
Did you ever see anything, if you use them, but I mean, don't use them for?
They didn't, not in the story I read.
You said that, what if they don't use them?
It just said that e-bikes, E1s are not going to be allowed. So, I don't know. I tried zooming into the solid waste meeting last night. They had a special meeting about another project they're going to do, and it was at 4 o'clock, and I zoomed in about 4:02, and I couldn't get in. They wouldn't let me in. They didn't see me or whatever the problem was. So finally about 4:30 it kicked in. The meeting lasted till 5, so I lost half of the meeting. And they were at the end of the presentation. They had a gentleman there presenting on this huge project that I wanted to tell you about. It's $3.827 million for clean water. They're going to go for clean water revolving funds for replacement of their leachate, updating and replacing some of their leachate treatment system. They only brought this out in the March meeting. They said they were kind of going to go out for bids or something. Then they had the special meeting last night, and boom, they're doing it. You know how they do things, just like without thinking. So that is going to have an impact on us, on all the townships. There's 27,100 households in the county that use their services. And that means, in addition to that, there's I don't want to misspeak. I don't know if the operating cost is included in the 3.8 million. I don't know. But what I do know is there's $882,000 worth of operating costs in addition to the loan. And that means an additional $25 a year per residence to cover that, and that will cover the loan payment and the operating cost. It's going to take 6 years to pay off the 3.8 million. I don't know where they're getting the money from. I didn't hear that part of the program, but I thought that's something else we're going to have to deal with. Now, some of the people in the county get directly billed from their haulers, like we do. Ours is set up differently. We bill our customers and they pay us, and there's 2 or 3 different ways that people deal with the landfill, so they're not sure how this is all going to pan out. So roughly $25 per household per year, and I don't know when that'll be added. So I emailed Brad right away last night, and I said, can you please send me the presentation? I might have to call you because presentations don't have all the information. And he said, that's fine. And I did ask him if they could speak into their microphones. So they have the microphones up here, and they sit back like this. and you can barely see their heads, so you can't really even hear them, what they're saying. But anyway, he said that he would work on that. So I'm gonna try to give him a call tomorrow. I got the email tonight with the presentation, so I didn't have a chance to look at it real closely, but it's very vague. But I'll try to find out more information for you for the next meeting. I did wanna definitely update you on that. Any questions or anything else?
On the vacancies, you think you could put something in the monthly thing about, we have vacancies in different departments, or,
I can, sure.
You know.
In, bills.
that most people might not even know that?
Calendar. Well, I can't do anything with planning, because I don't know that those positions will be open for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, when they do come up,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That won't be till December. Did you?
But you can always say something about inquire if you're interested in, or be involved in, something like that. You know how to word it.
Yeah, I can look at I'll find out who's using the back of the calendar for June. I'll check with Andra, and see if we can do a kind of a heads up. John?
I think the funding source they were planning to use for that is the same funding source that Lenny filed a notice of intent to apply for our wastewater system. It's a Clean Water State Revolving Fund. So they wouldn't know if they're receiving that money until October of this year, the same time we find out. And with all this state infrastructure, or new infrastructure money out there, maybe they'll have a good chance. It's kind of what we're hoping will happen on our end. But that would be the funding source, and if they're lucky, they'll get grant money, but I guess none of us really know right now.
So otherwise, using that fund, it's directly from them, the funds are from them if it's a loan, or is that only grants?
It's historically a loan program, but because there's all this new infrastructure money, a lot of it is grant money. The issue is, a lot of the grant money is going to disadvantaged communities, and I'm not sure that the landfill will qualify as that based on representing the whole county. But there's a whole lot of different categories of money out there that fall into the state revolving funds, so it's hard to say what their chances are. But that's how they would fund the project, and then they would have to pay it back through their rates, right?
That's what they said, 25.
Similar to our road millage.
Alrighty then. All right, let's move on to Township Hall automatic door openers. The board spoke, and the manager and the superintendent of public works jumped.
So, yes, this was part of the 2022 goals, so we went ahead and we got some proposals. What you see before you right now would be the lowest quote that we had from Door Solutions and Glass. So basically that's what it is. It's just automatic door openers. It's for 6 doors, and it has the magic force, I think, or it's like the push pad thing that they have on that there too. So this is, it has actually that the price is valid from April 11, 2022. I did give him a call, and he will still honor the price even though it's past a 30-day period. So yeah, this is what it is. It's pretty straightforward, and yeah. So also on the motion, I did forget to put authorize the township supervisor to sign the proposal. So maybe pencil that in there.
Okay. What doors how are you gonna do that? Would it be like 2 doors here in the front, or just one of them, or?
I can answer that.
It should be 2, when you come into the front, it should be those first 2, the next 2, and then getting into the office, or into the office itself.
3 sets of doors from the main entrance into the lobby of Township Hall. Nothing on the community room side.
Can we get them on the community room side?
Well, for another 16,000.
Yeah.
But that was never discussed.
I guess maybe start for now on this side, and then if it's working good, we'll do it over there.
It would technically be more than that because you have another set of doors right over here between
You got 4 doors over here.
between our outer lobby and going over towards the restrooms as well. So there'd be 8 more sets of doors, or 8 more doors.
Okay.
And one thing that is not part of this right here is we will have to get some electrical work done, so we don't know, that's gonna be kind of separate, so we'll have to have an electrician. So that, this is just for the doors and the hardware for installing the door openers themselves.
Okay, Ernie?
Completion time, do we have any?
He's actually, when I talked to him, he has most of this, I think he said he has it all in stock, so it would be fairly fast. They carry a lot of that stuff because they must do a lot of them.
So this was gonna end up coming out of our extraneous funds, right? You've got capital building and grounds, but the money that we were kind of setting aside is gonna pay for this, the 90,000?
There would have to be a budget amendment to put that money into the expenditure line, but yes. We didn't want to be presumptuous and give you the budget amendment before you authorize the actual expenditure.
Good. Any other questions? Randy?
I'll move to approve the proposal from Door Solutions and Glass for purchase and installation of 6 automatic door openers for the not exceed amount of $15,765 and authorize the supervisor to sign the agreement.
Support.
Okay, motion and support. Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Like I said, if it works well on this side, maybe in the future, maybe next budget year, we could do the other side and get that done. And then the whole facility will be kind of handicapped, better accessible.
Yeah. That's one of
Do
our
it in phases.
main things,
Do
so.
it in phases.
Well, then you have to decide, do you want the bathroom doors to have some sort of actuated openers on them too?
Yeah, like I said, do it in phases. That's
So
what it
there's
costs.
another 50,000 before you stop thinking about it.
Well, at least we can help the people who are trying to come in and conduct business. That's the main thing.
That was the original quote that we had discussed during our priority goal discussions last fall.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, review and discuss 2022 priority goals. John and I have already gotten an email from Christy at the Mining Journal wanting to talk about this. She was gonna try to be here tonight because she did have some questions maybe. But I just wanna make sure that we're not losing these. We need to stay on top of them. Turn this. Acreage, the park, so we'll be able to cross off number 3 in our short-term operational list of considering additional handicap access. We're also gonna consider the touchless services. In our priority goals, we don't have a lot of things that are costing money, you know, like in these cases, those are like the only things we're gonna have to buy. Most of it is bigger with the township park, if we ever are able to get that township center park, and where we would go with that, and better communication with partners. You know, we've talked about different groups that we'd like to stay in touch with. We'll probably be talking about,
This is the purchase that was authorized for the touchless faucets in our bathrooms here, fire hall, and public works. That's item 4 under short term. So that one's also underway. The fixtures are ordered and Andrew will install them, so we're gonna save ourselves probably half to 2/3 of that total cost. And it's authorized, meaning it's within my expenditure limits, just about $6,000 for, I forget how many fixtures.
you said 16 or something. It was-
Somewhere in that range, yeah.
Okay. Getting young parents and young adults involved. I don't know how we can do that, but that was something the board felt was necessary. Establish micro-volunteer experiences to create a sense of community. We've got a great volunteer group right now with our committees and stuff. We can always use more people, of course. Events can use more, road committee could use more. So if anybody's interested in those types of committees, they don't meet very often, once a month. We need your expertise. And then increase community involvement in events. I don't know exactly how we could do that, but we have, you know, radio information. We need to probably get with either other radio stations or the Mining Journal, Marquette Monthly, something like that. We could put some information in. Storage is going to be discussed. We do need to talk about the fire department storage and our storage. And then maintain sustainable revenue and expenses to fund our needs. I think we're very conscientious and very conservative on how we spend our money. Excuse me, some of these things we're talking about tonight will be paid from ARPA money type funds or federal funds. You might have noticed a few minutes ago that we got additional funding from our state revenue sharing when we went over 4,000 in the township for the census in 2020. So we're not just spending resident money haphazardly. We're very cautious about how we maintain that. We are working toward a cross-municipal agreement with the city. The Superintendent of Public Works tonight talked about the two groups or two companies that they met with, and John, to start that process and find out what our needs are going to be, what our expectations are, where we think the development's going to be. All that plays a part in how much water we're going to need. So that's pretty important. As we grow, you know, we've got, what was it, like 100 more people, I think, this census? I forget. It was more than that. We went from 38 to 41. Yeah, it was hundreds, if I remember right. So we're busier. We've got more people coming through the corridor. And then the park. So again, Christy wants to talk with us about this. I think that's Monday morning. Do that. So that's it. I just wanted to have another review. John?
I agree with the township supervisor that we have taken very careful steps to ensure that any new venture that we get into or any existing effort that we're working on, that we are extremely conservative and we thoroughly look at these things as a board. I'm proud of that. I think we do a fine job, and the new resolution that's before us tightens that up in its own way, and it gives direction and for us to continue to act in a conservative way with township funds. So I recommend the motion.
Well, we're not at that point yet, John.
I'd like to.
Okay. We'll come back to you. That's okay. I just wanted to cover the goals, our priority goals, once more, and keep those in front of us.
Ben, can I just mention one thing?
Sure.
Under increased community involvement in the events, I think I was going to bring up several times is that on August 6th, our community days, what do you think about having a table for a couple hours and just have it meet, you know, we can advertise even, meet your board of members or something like that, and then just have a couple, rotate them, and have some point of sale material sitting there for them about the township, and then, you know.
The community days?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm up for that if you want to do it.
Just an idea I thought I'd throw out.
Yeah. the board, hey?
Pardon me?
Meet the board?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, the next up is 8C. Consider resolution for procurement policies and procedures after legal counsel recommendations. We did have our legal go through that last time we talked. Do you have any comments, Roger, or?
Not really. I drafted the resolution because the policy itself indicates that it can only be amended by a formal resolution. And I believe there were a couple of minor inconsistencies in some of the numbers, and there was reference to a statute that was repealed many years ago in it, so those have all been corrected.
Do we need to read the resolution, Randy?
No, it'll be in the minutes.
Ernie?
I have a question. We addressed the department heads in there as to their availability of funds that they can spend. Am I missing something, or is it not in here about the manager and that?
It's in there. It's still that 10,000 that we've been talking about. It should be a paragraph before.
2.1.
Yep, 2.1.
I apologize. I apologize.
The title is a little bit obscure. Declaring procurement director.
I look at dollars and I miss that dollars.
Okay, any comments, questions? Before we look at the resolution, John, do you want to make the motion?
Okay, I move to adopt the resolution as presented.
I'll support.
Okay. Go ahead with the roll call.
Okay, roll call vote, because it's a resolution, is trustee Marks.
Yes.
Clerk Rattari is yes. Trustee LaRue.
Yes.
Trustee Everson.
Yes?
Treasurer Johnson.
Yes?
Supervisor Durant.
Yes.
That motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent.
Get that out then to the people that need to get it. All right. John, did you want to add anything about that?
Not for the procurement policy. We discussed it before, we just didn't pass the resolution, so that was a good catch on our attorney's part.
Absolutely. We're glad to have him. Okay, 8D, consider resolution for support of PAR Plan Risk Reduction Grant Application. Mr. John.
All right, this one I think is fairly self-explanatory in that our municipal risk carrier offers safety grants on an annual basis, and we have until the end of this month to apply. But in order for them to do so, they'd need this resolution adopted by the board. What they're requesting is grant money to fund backup cameras for 3 vehicles on the fire department fleet. They're all smaller, older vehicles prior to the automatic inclusion of a backup camera. So this improves the safety for backing those vehicles into the building. Even though it's modern lighting, it's always darker outside than inside if the sun is shining. And it's like almost backing into a black hole. I've experienced the same thing in other municipal buildings. It's just not exactly the safest thing to do. So adding these cameras will reduce the risk of having accidents while backing equipment into the fire hall.
Okay. Questions? Randy?
I'll move to accept the PAR Plan Risk Reduction Grant application for fire rescue equipment backup cameras as presented.
Support.
Okay.
Lots of support. Any comments, questions for John? Okay, go ahead.
Hey, it's a resolution again, so it'll be a roll call vote. So Clerk Rattari is yes. Trustee Everson.
Yes?
Trustee LaRue.
Yes.
Trustee Marks.
Yes.
Treasurer Johnson.
Yes.
Supervisor Durant.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent.
Sure, Ernie.
Have you identified what possible vehicles will be put on?
Yeah, there's only 3 that they have. with all of the new equipment, the new pickup we just received came with it. The new fire truck will have it. And then there's 3 in the existing fleet that do not.
Oh, with that new fire truck, we're still what, how many months away?
Oh, I'm not sure we want to say it out
We want to
loud.
talk about
Here,
that then.
yeah.
By the time we get it, they'll have paid a year's worth of interest for something they haven't had for a year.
Okay. Committee updates. Planning, Linda's not here. I kind of gave you a little bit of an update. Let's see what else is on there. They did have a request for a public hearing for a short-term rental on County Road 550. And I did mention the North Iron Church cleanup on June 5th. They did talk a little bit about the development that might be going up on Forestville Road, but nothing in the packet. That was about it. What do we know from Recreation? Did they meet tonight? No?
I don't know.
Okay. How about events, Pete?
Events, June 18th, we'll have our car show from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. We'll be in the Westwood parking lot out here, the same as last year. And we're gonna have a better turnout this year than we had last year. Food will be supplied by Super One, and I think we all have a good time. We have music, and it's a good afternoon. I say, plan on coming and enjoying yourself.
If somebody has a car, what do they do? Do they just show up? Is there somebody they need to contact?
What they do is they come and they register their vehicle. We'll have a tent there with a couple tables. They'll register their car. They'll get a little tag. They'll get a food ticket. They're entitled for 1 free meal per vehicle. And that's about it. And then we're going to have drawings as far as the best looking car and stuff like that.
Then they do a little tour through,
Then we're going to take a tour through the township.
okay.
Pete, you need to be a little careful about the free food. It's 1 meal per person if you've
One per
entered
vehicle.
1 or more vehicles.
Yeah.
If you entered 6 vehicles, you don't get 6 free meals.
No,
'cause
it's
you're
1
only
per
one
vehicle.
person.
Yeah.
That was an issue last year where people were just giving away free meals and Super One didn't make any money to donate back to the township.
Yeah.
Pete, did you say 10 to 2?
10 to 2, I believe. I forgot to bring my poster. I would have had a poster taped in the front here, so. But, yeah. We'll start here and we'll go around the township. And I forget the exact route where it is, but it's pretty much the same as we had before. Can't go down the highway, but,
Do you have an escort for that from the sheriff's department?
I was gonna ask.
yeah, I don't know if Todd got
It's
that or
either the
not.
sheriff's department or fire department.
Yeah.
Both?
We usually have
Both would be
the,
great.
Both?
usually have the fire truck, they follow the fire truck and they go, but it seems like, huh?
I would like to, but I told Jay to do it.
Yeah,
It's on a Saturday also.
That's fine.
yeah. But it's always a good time. I mean, you see the cars, you see the people, and that's what brings community together. It just the combination of getting people together, and seeing cars. People are very proud of their vehicles. You know, they do a lot of work. Just, you know, you see a little car, oh, it's just an old car. Well, it's not just an old car. There's a lot of money sitting in there, but people take care of them. And we have some people that they look at the clouds. If it rains, they want to get that car out of there. You know, but
Is that the 18th? Or what was the date now?
yeah, the 18th.
Yeah.
Saturday of Father's Day
Mother's Day
weekend.
weekend. So didn't we, in past years, if you brought a couple cans of food or something, to register your car, just as a donation for the,
Entry is a
Volunteer.
voluntary food donation for the Salvation Army Food Bank.
good, some canned goods or something?
Non-perishables.
Non-perishable. I like carrots.
Okay,
We always have a good turnout, you know. So,
public comment, do you wanna add anything?
So I wanted to bring up a couple things that,
Sure. Come on up here, then we can hear you better.
Well, it's for the residents.
well, it's official, I gotta go. So for those who don't know, I'm Deputy McKee. Obviously, I work for you guys. A couple of things that have come up just in the last couple of weeks, I think I brought up to John when I had stopped in here before, is the abandoned vehicles in the back of the Westwood lot. I got 2 complaints this week, just people that stopped me and said, hey, what's going on with these abandoned vehicles? And I have contacted the owner of the Westwood Mall to see what he's doing with them, if he's towing them, and basically his comment is, you know, I'm not sure, which is usually what it's been for years, and people are starting to notice, and they say, oh, well, we're coming to Marquette, and now, you know, it looks trashy, because now that they're, you know, the tires are getting stolen off, and, you know, the windows are getting broken in, and so I don't know if that's something that you guys could help with, of saying, okay, what are we doing with this, you know, debris that's in the back of the Westwood lot to help clean it up, make it look better, so.
Well, I think we can do a couple things. First, we know that our planner is working on enforcing the ordinance for a myriad of things with tall grass and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the planning commission is working on a light ordinance, but that'll take a little while.
Yeah.
The other thing is, that was one of the things when I talked to Jess from the North Iron Church about what we could use help with on their cleanup day. That was the first thing I said to her, was the mall.
Yeah.
And she said, don't worry, we're on it. So
Okay.
I don't know how far they're on it.
Okay.
I haven't driven back there, so I guess I haven't seen those.
Yeah, that's usually my hiding spot when I want to do paperwork. I hide behind there. But we have a lot of issues too, because the back area, I mean, the front is fine, but the back area is not very well lit. So I do patrol back there quite frequently, because you do get people that are really up to no good that will go back there and park and do nefarious things. And I've gotten calls back there numerously because, you know, hey, it's a big empty parking lot. There's a lot of, you know, junk cars and stuff. It attracts the wrong kind of people. So I make sure that I go back there quite a bit to make sure that nobody's doing what they shouldn't be doing.
The trailer back there belongs to my wife. I asked to store that back because we use it for the different events for the township. So if that's a problem, we'll have to do something
I
about
didn't
it.
see it there this morning.
Huh?
Well, there's like, there's quite a few cars back there, but there's like old trailers and things like that that are back there too, and there's like garbage, like old tires and stuff that are just like off to the side kind of, so.
This should be the trailer with all the cement uprights we use for barricades and that.
Yeah, I see the cement, the piled
Yeah.
up and stuff, but there's quite a few just cars that
Is it?
used to be whole cars, you know, like last year, and then now they've just dwindled away to nothing, so.
John?
I actually drove through there this morning, not even thinking that you might be here tonight, and it looks a lot better today than it did the last time we talked. It's
Yeah.
almost like maybe your inquiry spurred some action. I think I counted 3 abandoned vehicles in the parking lot this morning. That's less than half of what was there a couple
Okay.
of months ago, so
Yeah, I haven't been there today yet, because I was on calls, but I know
hopefully
that
it
I
hasn't
did.
increased since this morning.
Well, I did call the owner like 2 times this last week, so I think he might be getting annoyed with me, but.
That was gonna be my question. Can't you run the VIN number and find out who is a past owner and put a little pressure on them to get them the hell out of there?
So, the owner of the Westwood Mall actually owns those vehicles.
Really?
Yeah, and his big thing is, one, he didn't want to pay for them to get towed, because, you know, it's $75 to tow the vehicle. And I said, well, we can't tow it at the sheriff's department because it's on it's on private property, so we can't, you know, do that. If it was on a roadway, we could obviously tag it and then tow it. So it's actually up to the owner to tow those vehicles literally over to Marquette Detailing. And his thing was the cost of it. And I said, even if you don't want the vehicle, you can have it towed to them, and then once they wait that 30 days, they can apply for the abandoned vehicle title and take ownership of it. So it's a pretty easy solution. I mean,
Fire
just get 'em
department's
towed.
always looking for vehicles to use for extrication.
Yeah,
You know, it could be a source for them, win-win for both parties.
mm-hmm,
And Mickey has been good over at Marquette Detailing to bring them to the fire hall to tow them and then take them from there and
yeah.
get them just, you know, taken care of.
Yeah, I figured that was one of the things I'd bring up tonight, was that issue, just because it was recent in my head. Another thing was, I don't know if the township has ever considered putting cameras up in a couple locations in Marquette Township where there's like high crime rates. I know Marquette City has a few cameras, like at the main intersection, 41 Wash, and when you're on Washington on 4th Street. And the only reason I mention that is because these last few months we've had a lot of higher crimes that have occurred, and 90% of people, whether they commit a crime out west towards Ishpeming or if it's out towards Chocolate, always pass through the roundabout at 41 HQ. And it is very frustrating because Walmart doesn't have cameras that reach that far out, and it kind of puts us back several weeks because there's no cameras on the main 41 intersection through Marquette Township. And we could definitely cut down on our investigative process by at least getting a plate number off the vehicle that we're looking for or some kind of identifying feature of the driver. And last week we had a juvenile overdose in Marquette City, and we were rapidly looking for this vehicle in Marquette Township where they had went through. And it was very frustrating on my end because there's really no cameras there at all.
Is that the main part or place you're looking for? Is it the roundabout?
Yeah, the
where
roundabout
else?
at 41 HQ where Walmart is.
Where would you suggest otherwise, or just that one?
Well, I know that most people don't take 492 to go towards, you know, Nagani or Palmer or anything like that. Most people don't. People that live out in that area do, and because I patrol 492 very frequently, it's not really high traffic. They always go through that roundabout intersection. You know, if they're coming from Ishpeming, they'll go to Walmart, hit the major stores, but at some point they travel through that intersection. Either that one or, you know, past 41 Commerce, go through there. And it wouldn't be through minor things. We obviously wouldn't be looking for, like, you know, traffic stop violations or anything, but things that occurred and stuff that really need to catch these people, like now, it would be super helpful for us.
So would you think 2? Would you want one, I'm guessing at the
Probably
lights?
4.
Yeah, well, if you could catch, so depending on the camera, and I was looking at the ones that Marquette City has, they have the high definition ones, which is something I would need so we can read the actual plate. Because the ones at Walmart, I mean, they're cameras, but once you actually look at it, like, it's so grainy you can't make out anything. So, but they're ball cameras, so they're 360. So even if you had 2 of those, kind of one on each corner, that could catch traffic going through the roundabout towards Commerce, ones that turn off onto Wright Street, that would give us kind of a bird's eye view, you know, of what's going on.
I would suggest 492, so if they know there's a camera on that one location, they can catch them going the other way too.
Yeah, because really if there's, you know, you can go down, you know, 492 and there's really, if you're coming into Marquette, those are really like the only 2 ways out. You know, if you're trying to go west and you're coming from like Chocolate, you either gotta hit 492 the back way or 41. You know, you can't go west any other way. So yeah, that would be super helpful.
That's a good idea.
Okay. Yeah, that's great information, Ernie.
Listening to the deputy here, I would suggest that the deputy and the manager get together and start laying out a plan for this to try and take hold within a time period and what kind of costs we're talking about too. So.
We're already looking into the cost of putting security cameras at the tunnel. It might make sense to incorporate something like this into the same project. The biggest issue is we don't own the infrastructure on the highway, so we would have to permit it through MDOT. I am going to be talking to them tomorrow on a separate project, so I'll bounce it off of them and see what they think, see where it goes.
Well, we had to buy the lighting, isn't that, can't we put them up there then?
We
Do turn it
could
over to them?
probably, maybe. It depends on a lot of factors.
Okay.
The information and go from there.
Yeah, I think the city has theirs posted on light poles. I don't know if that's helpful. The ones
That would
are-
make the most sense to install them on the existing light poles that are out there, since we don't have traffic signals at the roundabout. Will MDOT allow us to do that in their right of way? I don't know. We might have to work with state police on it. maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I was hanging out in the area, like just recently, but it's, yeah, the only way, if you put a camera at 41 HQ, the only way they could get really around it is if they went down Brickyard and then came out by Meyer. But we could easily put one camera there, but most people don't travel down Brickyard. It's very low traffic.
Yeah, there's no exit there, so.
Yeah, but it would be extremely helpful. I know that, I've talked to the city about it and stuff, and granted, I'm just, a deputy and stuff, but it is frustrating because I, obviously work for the township now, but even when I'm a general car, I do a lot of work in the township. And for me, it's helpful when you're, weeks on end trying to investigate something, just don't have a plate or don't have, you're searching for something, you just don't have a name. And I know I've expressed concerns with Walmart and stuff because we do get a lot of refill frauds from there. And it's like, okay, you do lose millions of dollars every year to retail frauds. Like, why don't you update your cameras so we can see people's faces? It doesn't matter if you have a camera if you can't make out their face or a plate. So they're kind of working on their end, so I figured I'd bring it up, to you guys.
We did say that we were gonna use that marijuana money for whatever enforcement or, cover the sheriff's bills or whatever, so we could use that money if it's not like $100,000 to do it.
Let's see what the cost of the cameras are.
The costs of that,
But I mean, that's
what we're talking
a
about.
fund we could use,
I'll find out if MDOT will even allow us to do that out there first.
Yeah.
And if we need to do it through permit, then we start looking at scoping a project and figuring out the pricing in order to get it done.
Great, that's great, I'm glad you brought it up.
And then one last thing that's kind of minor. I know that you guys we just got a new township car, which I'm very thankful for. But is there any way in the future that
Don't bring up four-wheel drive.
if we could have a SUV so we can get down Forestville in 550?
You were supposed to have one.
That was supposed to be what they ordered.
Yes.
They screwed up. Talk to Greg about that.
That was a communication issue one way or
Yeah,
another.
talk to Greg about that.
Yes, I got stuck out in Forestville after we got that big rain a couple weeks ago, and there was somebody out there, and I tried to take that Charger down there, and I was like, it's not gonna happen. We have parties out in Forestville. I've had so many complaints about the dumping issue out in Forestville, so I've been getting out there and stuff, and getting cases against people that are dumping. But it's so frustrating you can't make it out there with the Charger, and then
Had a feeling you were gonna bring
Yeah.
that up.
Yes.
I was
And-
kinda going, don't go there.
Well, and I
No.
had brought it up to the captain, not only SUV thing, but having a black car, not a white car. I know
Yes.
it's traditional to have a white sheriff's car, but you can see a white sheriff's car from 9 miles away at
Yes.
2 o'clock in the morning. It's very hard to run traffic in a white,
We've talked about this,
ginormous
yeah,
light
out
bulb
on
of a
scene,
car.
yeah.
Well, lots of them are
So-
doing that. Choppy got a dark one, and
Yep.
East Marine, I think, believe they have a dark one.
And we do have, which is weird, because we do have a couple black cars at the sheriff's department. Like, our traffic car is black. And we do have the black SUVs. I just don't know why the township didn't get a black one, because I had brought it up before they ordered the vehicles, like,
We ordered,
Oh,
that's what we requested.
so,
Yeah.
but that is all.
That's
That
what we
was
can
my
do.
only
We'll do black SUV.
Black SUV.
Yes.
Appreciate it, thank you.
I'll talk to Steve in the morning.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a couple years though.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Things that'll make work easier, for sure.
Plus you can actually fit in the vehicle.
Yes.
With all your
the
equipment.
vehicle, yes, you can get to where you need to go. That's helpful.
Yeah. Okay. Any announcements?
Couple.
Okay, go ahead, Randy.
Okay, so we're gonna have a special meeting next Monday at 6 o'clock, and that's gonna be entailing, we're gonna have a public hearing incorporated in the meeting for the SRF funding for the wastewater improvements. So that'll be wrapped into that meeting. And there will be another public hearing and our second meeting in June for the clean water side of things for the distribution upgrades. So we've got a few things on the docket coming up, so.
That'll be the 21st. Okay, any other announcements? All right, manager's report.
Well, I think I touched on some of it already. Maybe not, I can't remember who I told what anymore. We've been having quite a few conversations regarding the SRF funding, the new once-in-a-lifetime federal infrastructure dollars. I want to make it clear that the reason why Lenny and I decided to have Lenny do the work, of course, file these notices of intent to apply for water and wastewater projects is because of this one-time money. They are projects that we need to do one way or another, but we're hoping that we can get it funded with grant money. So we have these public hearings. We do have to, as part of these public hearings, tell our utility customers what it would cost them if it's not grant money, if it's loan money. It's too early to tell what's really going to happen. I'll tell you that our project scored very low on the list because we do not have lead service lines in there, and we do not have the disadvantaged community status that scores you the extra points to move up. So out of, I think, a list of 300 projects, we were down in the high 280s. We're still keeping our fingers crossed. The first item on my report is the Michigan Great Lakes Water Conference that occurred last week. It was free, 2-day conference. It had originally been scheduled in person 2 years ago, and then they didn't even try a year ago, and then this year they finally decided to do it 100% virtual. I took advantage of it because I could double dip on my continuing ed for both my engineer's license and my water operator certificate. Turns out I dragged Lenny in there for quite a few of the sessions. They were very informative. We learned a few things. We figured out we can still keep our fingers crossed to get grant money as opposed to loan money through these intents to apply. We'll be addressing both of those in separate public hearings, the first one being next Monday evening. The second one will be in June. The only other thing on the agenda is this potential PUD development on Forestville Road. We don't have an official application yet, so there's not much to tell you other than it would be significant residential development. And for that reason, we're probably not going to rush to spend that $150,000 on the road improvements until we know what they have to do to get utilities out there if this project ever happens. So going back to the special meeting we had last week, where you committed the $150,000 that would be used to overlay Forestville Road from 492, which is what used to be Wright Street, to Huron Woods. We could spend that money this year because we have the money, but we don't want to do that if they're going to have to tear it up to run utilities down there. So let's wait and see what happens. The Road Commission is also embarking on an RFP to do a feasibility study of the transportation network on the north and west parts of the township, basically from 492 heading out towards Forestville and then back out to 550, which includes, by the way, the We Energies Hall Road. They intend to close on that acquisition in June, and it will be a Class A road. So it won't be a local road that our taxpayers have to pay for the maintenance of. It will be in the Class A system, so the Road Commission will be responsible for maintaining that. So that's actually a good thing, and I think it also helps with the long-term transportation needs with another truck route maybe around the city and most of the township, depending on the development demands in the next 10 to 20 years. And that's probably about all I should say on that, but it could be exciting, it could be challenging. It's really hard to say because we don't really know, it's too early in the process, what'll actually happen.
On the infrastructure on Forestville Road, down to Heron Woods Road, when that was put in, because they couldn't get water there, they had to run the water from our line in. They tore up the road. And then they only wanted to fix part of the road, but yet they tore up more than half the road. So we as a board says, no, you're fixing the whole road. So there's water lines there, I don't know how big they are, but the whole road was redone due to the township implying that you have to repair everything. So what kind of conditions in, I don't know. So if they have to go through and run in wastewater, so it depends on how they do that, as fixing the road over again or not, so.
Based on the topography in that area, there's a good chance they could directional drill a force main along the entire length from the Wright Street lift station all the way into their development. Now, is that guaranteed to happen? No. Is it very likely to? Yes. So it could happen with very limited disruption to the roadway, and when they get done, then we can do our overlay. Or they might have to tear up a full lane to do sewer that has to be open cut because of geotechnical conditions there. We don't know what's there. There could be bedrock. You can't drill through bedrock with these HDD machines. So I think us not spending the money now makes sense, but we not spend it on something else, knowing that we have a commitment there.
Because the other question I have, is the water line sufficient to supply this new development?
Yes, it's a 12-inch main.
Is it a 12-inch?
It is. That's not to say we won't want to see that looped somehow in the future. Where it gets looped to, there's a lot of options. It's really going to depend on what direction the demand comes from in terms of new development.
And I think the other thing, before we get too far down the road, that 425 agreement is going to have to be looked at and addressed in that too.
Correct. In fact, I need to get back with the city manager and let her know that the developer is still interested in pursuing that, and then we need to get with our attorneys to start drafting an agreement. Our attorney has been notified.
Heads up. Okay, any questions for the manager? Pete?
I'm glad they're taking a good look at that whole intersection there, because it's just an accident waiting to happen every day. So rather than start putting roads in and stuff like that and tearing them all up, because I don't know how they're gonna fix that, but you know, you can't put a roundabout there, you can't put a stop sign coming down the hill, and the short-sighted from coming east to west. Huh?
Never say never. It might just mean more resources to do it.
Yeah, if they take the hill out, you know. But I mean, right now they can't put one in there. They should not put one in, I'll put it that way. But I hope somebody with better minds take a good look at that whole area there, because that's a good area for us to develop housing and stuff like that down in that area, so that's all I gotta say.
John?
For a long time, I've been after trying to encourage the board about Forestville Road. After our special meeting that we had, I'm satisfied that there is a commitment from this board that they will attend to fixing Forestville Road. And they will set aside, at least in our minds, the amount of money needed to do that. Or it may end up being enough to finish Forestville Road when they get through doing whatever they do there to our standards. because they're a little higher than what they would do. So I think we've made that commitment, and I personally am satisfied that it will get done.
I honestly believe if we do this right, we can use it as an incentive to do exactly what Trustee Marks just suggested and get something more than what we already have.
Yeah.
Instead of just a fresh black surface, right? We just have to play our cards right.
Hey, Randy, you want to review motions?
Yeah, before I do that, one more announcement. Now that the May election is over, the county is going to be redistricting the new district, so everyone in the township that's a voter will get a new voting card, hopefully late this month or early June. So you'll be getting a new voting card. Basically, the only difference on it is going to say that we are going to be District 3 now for the county commission. We're not split anymore, we're all one district now, so. Okay, so the motions for this evening are, the first one was to approve the consent agenda as presented, and it had a roll call vote because of the 2 budget amendments. Second motion was to approve the regular agenda as presented. Third motion was to approve the automatic door openers for the township, and that was approved. Fourth motion was to approve the resolution for procurement policies and procedures after the legal counsel recommendations, and that was approved. And the fifth motion was to approve the resolution of support for the park plan risk reduction grant application, and that was approved.
Oh, thanks. Ernie, what were you gonna ask?
Just a question for the manager, I should have brought up sooner. The status of the township audit.
That should be pretty much final. Let me get back to you on that.
I think it's done, it just hasn't been posted yet. We have till June 30th to put it on the state website. But I will check on that also, because Lois, when I chatted with her last time, she noticed it wasn't posted yet. I believe it's done, so. Let me check with, me and the manager will talk to those folks.
There were a couple of little minor details that we had to clarify. We didn't have the full answer without Lois's knowledge, so I think Kim might have gotten that answer though.
Okay. I don't think I have anything right now for a future agenda. I'm sure something will come up. Any board member comment?
Oh, I do have, probably the late June, do it on the next agenda. We have to, we will be discussing the millage question for the library that we put on the ballot for November. So we'll be talking about that in June.
Okay. Either the next agenda or the June one?
Probably the second meeting in June.
21st? Okay. Okay, our next meeting then is June 7th, just so everybody remembers. Dan?
I'd like to make a motion, we adjourn.
Support.
He sits back in the corner, and that's the last one to get it going.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7:44. We are